Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, good evening to Thursday, the 17th September Licensing Committee. First of all, is there any apologies?
I've not received any.
Okay. Late items to be introduced by the chair. Do you want me to add that issue we spoke about earlier, Jackie, now, or do you want to leave it after the meeting? Regarding the voting process.
You can run through it with the councillors present. That'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay. Just a quick one all. I was given notification earlier regarding the voting process. They want to make some changes, obviously, with it being virtual, similar to how they do it on planning. So all we're doing, obviously, noted and agreeing to, I think the words, if I'm right, Jackie, are every time we've had a vote is, I confirm that I have been present throughout the presentation. I vote either in favour, against, or abstain from the recommendation. And say your name, and that's about it, if I'm correct.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
So can we all agree on that?
Yes, Chair, yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to write it all down. I never remember all that.
Yeah, fine.
I'll put it in instant messaging. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Any declarations of interest?
No.
I'll take those no, thank you. Okay, number 4, minutes of the meeting held on August 6, 2020. Have we all gone through the minutes?
Yes, Chair. I propose there are 3 records.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I support that. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Skelton and Councillor Asselgrave. Item 5, I think, is over to you yourself, Michael. Approval of testing stations for Hackney carriage and private hire vehicle inspections.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. Does everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Yeah.
Smashing. Okay, thank you. So, yeah, as you'll be aware, we contract garages to undertake the testing of Hackney carriage and private hire vehicles. These contracts are due to expire on the 30th of September 2020. During August, we've undertook a retender process in line with the Council's current financial procedure rules. 5 applications were received. Each application has been measured against specific award criteria that also sits alongside an on-site inspection. Applicants were requested to submit their pricing schedules as part of the tender process, and these are set out at Appendix 1 of the report. The scoring system is based on the responses made by each applicant in the tender document to selected questions that were asked. The questions cover facilities for testing, on-site and customer facilities, the levels of service, compliance with specifications, waste management, staffing, and the totals of these criteria are reflected as what the process calls the quality score. The price score compares the price that's been submitted for a spot check, and adding the price score and the quality score together gives an overall ranking, and the summaries for each score and the overall ranking can be found at Appendix 2 of the report. All 5 applications have met the requirements of the tender. The new contracts are for 2 years with the option to extend for a further 12 months. The contracts will therefore expire on the 30th of September 2022 unless we elect to extend for that optional year. The recommendation, Chair, is to approve those testing stations which meet the required criteria for then inclusion on the Council's list of specified testing stations. In effect, all 5 of the testing stations that submitted a tender have met those requirements. Thank you, Chair.
Any questions from anybody?
Just out of interest, Chair, I'd like to ask if all of them are existing providers of our services to us, or if there's any new ones come on.
Yeah, we've purposely kept that anonymous, Chair, whilst you for the purposes of you considering the report and that information. I'm happy to let you know who they are and whether they're existing or new ones after you've made the decision. I know
Okay,
it sounds a
that's
bit
fine.
odd, but yeah, I think it might just be wise just to refrain from me giving you that information whilst you consider the considerations.
Thank you, Michael. Councillor Hesselgrave.
Yeah, Mike, just I'm conscious that we're kind of the people who, you know, represent the taxi users, customers, and, you know, that we always want to make sure that our people who take a taxi in Derby are going to travel safely and can be confident that they'll be safe in terms of, you know, the roadworthiness of the vehicle. There is a range of different scores on the quality, and I just wanted to be reassured that Garage A, which gets the lowest score for quality, it's a risk. Is it riskier to take that garage on? Could there be people who were passed and they shouldn't have been, not on purpose, but maybe because they're less good on the whole thing?
No. They've all the garages met the standard specification, the minimum criteria. So, you know, we are as happy as we can be at that tender process stage that those garages will undertake the role that we are requiring of them to the standard that we require of them. Does that help? Yeah.
So that does reassure me on approving, if we were to be mindful to approve all the garages.
Yeah, and sorry, just to add, I mean, obviously as part and parcel of that tender or that contractual process that we have with them, you know, should their standards fall or should we have the need to speak to them about any particular issues, there is a process that is set out in the contract procedure rules that allows us to address the contract and take action if we need to.
Good, that was very helpful, Mike. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Michael. Councillor Khan.
Yeah, Michael, I just want to ask, when you decide these tenders, yeah, is the feedback from the operators or taxi drivers and all that, do you take that into account also, how that is seen when you decide the tenders?
No, that's not included as part of the tender process. I mean, going back to what I've probably said for Councillor Hesselgrave, you know, should the taxi trade, you know, the vehicle proprietors who are having these vehicles checked, you know, by those garages have any concerns, you know, they are their customers in effect. So, you know, we will get a feel for that as we start to receive any complaints or queries and concerns from the trade. So again, that then links in with that process that we have to be able to deal with any concerns that are raised during the life of the contract. But you know, we don't consult with the trade in terms of the tender process. No.
Thank you, Michael. I think Olu's just answered the question, actually. If there were anyone who's satisfied, they wouldn't have met the threshold for consideration, and so they weren't featured within the report today. And thankfully, all 5 have met the threshold, so I think if our department's happy with it, we'll be good to roll with them, aren't we? If I'm correct in saying, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely, Chair. Yeah, I mean, that's the officer's view, and that's the recommendation that the officers are presenting to you tonight in the report. Yes.
Yeah. Just one quick question for me, Michael. Obviously, if you can get this message sent to the garage, obviously, you know, over the last year or couple of years, we've had an issue with certain vehicles when they're getting pulled over, rightly so, by the Derby Road Policing Unit, and when they are being rigorously checked, some underneath are coming out is quite rotten. And I think that's not a driver, that's a garage issue. Obviously, you know, questions arise in my head as Mike Bracken as a motor mechanic, goes, why has this vehicle been put through and it's had a plate, you know, 4 weeks prior to it being checked, or 6 weeks, whatever, and all of a sudden there's a great big massive gaping hole there, or the structure of the vehicle is badly damaged, and that's something that we need to be cautious, because at the end of the day it's public safety, isn't it? So I think when it comes to checking stuff like that, they need to be a bit more rigorous, and if it needs to be failed and it needs to be put right, then rightly so. But I think there's certain times where the vehicle's been brought in, I think, I don't know if the garage have overlooked it or it's not been dealt with, but that's something that they need to look at in order to ascertain why these vehicles have been being plated and 3 or 4 weeks had been pulled up, and rightly so, and they've been found with these major defects regarding especially chassis welding and stuff like that. That was the only concern I had.
Yeah, it certainly is, and as I say, it's going back to that same point about the contract process. Should those scenarios come to light, and they do, and when they do, we will we will investigate that. That doesn't help the vehicle proprietor if that vehicle has been for a test 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, and then for whatever reason, it gets looked at and we find problems with it. So yeah. It is a garage problem. You're absolutely right.
Because if I remember correctly, a few years ago we had an issue where there was one garage that was just passing these willy-nilly, and I think we ended up excluding them from our testing stations, didn't we? If I remember correctly, about 2013-ish.
We have taken that action in the past against a garage that was approved originally, and we subsequently removed the contract. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Has anybody else got any more questions?
No, Chair.
So, do we need to take a vote on this, Jackie, to approve the testing stations for Hackney Carriage for private hire vehicles, or are we all in agree?
We all agree.
Say those words that we were.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
Agree, yeah.
Okay, that's unanimous. Agree. Thank you for that report, Michael. I think that's about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all the reports, Chair.